Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Captain Jean-Luc Picard 6-scale figure from Quantum Mechanix. Really looking forward to seeing what I can do with this guy, so let's get rolling. The packaging elements are pretty impressive. When you look at the graphic elements that they used, including the chromium features here on the front, and when we rotate to the side, you can see that the computer interface was incorporated as part of the graphic elements. That works really, really well together. About the only thing that doesn't really work for me is the implementation of the product photography. It really doesn't blend seamlessly with those excellent graphical elements, and could use just a little bit of work. Apart from that, packaging looks pretty solid, but I don't really care about that because what's really important is what's on the inside. And take a look at all that's on the inside. There's just so much going on. So many different hands. You've got a communicator, you've got a data pad, you've got a tricorder. Not a communicator, a tricorder. If you look at this thing, it's magnetized, so you can take it apart and have it open and it stays together that way, or you close it up and similarly it just looks really, really flush. The magnet was just a simple element, but it worked so ingeniously. I just can't believe how great it looks. Costuming elements, really, really solid. It's going to downscale nicely. Can't wait to see how it photographs. And let's get started on the posing. This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard. His trademark is instructing the helm to engage the warp drive, so we're going to start with that. But before we do that, Quantum Mechanix has placed this protective wrap around his neck. That's to prevent any potential staining from the costume dye onto the plastic on the neck itself. Seems to have done a pretty good job on mine. There's no staining effects whatsoever. It's perfectly clean. This head sculpt is fantastic. Just look at that. Wow, he looks really, really good. I'm just looking at it for the second time as I do the voiceover work. But for this particular pose, about the only thing that I'm going to need to change from the out-of-the-box configuration of the figure is the hand. Fair warning, these wrist pegs are in there pretty solid. I don't recommend trying to change them out without using some sort of technique for heating them. You can use a heat gun set to a low setting, you can use a hairdryer set to a high setting. You can even put it in some boiling water in order to soften that plastic and allow you to take the wrist peg out with ease. I can't recommend enough again that you do this. So yeah, be it on your own head if you don't. So moving forward, you can see here that I'm, it's a very basic pose. It's actually just a little more than a museum pose. There's so little action going on. But one of the things you want to keep in mind when you're doing Jean-Luc in his engage posture with the wrist up and everything, and look at that, there's actually a fingered hand that they did specifically for that pose. You can have his wrist and his hand in any one of several minor positions. Just keep in mind that no matter where you have it, the action itself is sort of like, if you can imagine somebody casting a fishing line out into the water, just that flick of the wrist, it's very similar to that. Just go to the show, watch him doing it, and you can just see him flick that wrist as he's extending his arm outward. There's very much a fishing posture going on there. So that should help with, I hope that that's enough of a visual for you guys to be able to incorporate that nicely. Again, as I do with any of my poses, just make sure that you're breaking all the lines. You don't want the figure to be stiff. You don't want the torso to be flush with the hips. Break that line by twisting the torso a little bit in the direction that he's casting his finger, and that will help it look a bit more natural. Keep those feet not perpendicular. Not perpendicular, not parallel to each other, and that will help you quite a bit. And when you get done, once you think you have the basic pose established, then just keep making minor adjustments until you get it right. Quantum Mechanix is a fairly new entry into the 6-scale game, and they've come out of the gate pretty strong. First with their Malcolm Reynolds 6-scale figure from the Firefly universe, and they followed up nicely with Kirk, Spock, and then Dr. McCoy from Star Trek. This fourth entry into the Star Trek universe, I feel, is their strongest one yet. I'm, again, repeatedly struck by the excellent likeness to Patrick Stewart. It's just remarkable. I keep going back and looking at it and just thinking this is really going to make an excellent addition to my shelf, and I'm really looking forward to the next efforts on the part of QMX. Hopefully they'll be able to complete the entire Enterprise D/E bridge crew. I promise you that I'll be there for all of them, and you'll get to see videos, photographs, and everything of everybody together once that's finally done. I keep thinking that I should have something to call out on this figure, but I really don't. It's pretty much ideal the way that it comes to you. I hope you all decide to get it. I hope that you enjoyed as much as I do, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care.